Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News with Kim and Lisa. This week, we got part one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. And I think it's safe to say that Garcelle was in the hot seat.
Oh, she was totally in the hot seat and totally not expecting it. The ladies were going after her about Kyle and Morgan, about Dorit's robbery once again, and for just not being interesting enough. So, do you think they had a point or were they being too hard on her?
I do have a bit of an unpopular opinion on this, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. We're going to get into it. But before we do, of course, you guys know what to do. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more Bravo Breaking News.
Okay, so we open with everyone getting ready, of course. Kyle brings her crystals and she's letting them charge in the sunlight while she's getting her glam. And then she brings them out to the stage with her and sets them next to her, for clarity and strength. I'm not a crystals person, but do I really think they do anything? No. Where are you at with that?
I mean, I feel like it's definitely like a placebo effect. And sometimes, like, we need a good placebo effect. I don't own any crystals, but like you, I'm like not against them. So if Kyle
Yeah.
wants to bring her crystals, bring your crystals.
Okay, and one thing that they mentioned, which I had no idea about, Erica had a song that was in Oscar-winning Best Picture movie, Anora. Now, I know you just watched Anora. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. Did you notice the Erica Jane song? Like, is it prominent?
So I had heard about this like when it came out. I watched the movie and it didn't click for me. I guess I have to go back and watch it. I don't know what part it was. I knew it was in the movie, but by the time I had watched the movie, I had completely forgotten about it. But honestly, like huge for Erica.
Yeah, that's massive. Um, okay, so we see, all the ladies coming out. I feel like Dorit is definitely under some stress, and you can see it like reflected physically. She looks very, very thin to me. I think she was thin, like she's always been thin, but she looked very almost like frail a little bit. Still gorgeous, but I don't know. I was a little like taken aback, and I just thought, okay, this PK situation is definitely wearing on her. Um, we get the question to come up about her smoking, and Andy starts asking her, so how long have you been a smoker? The fans love seeing you smoking, which she was really shocked about. And Kyle kind of tries to give her an out. She's like, well, we think that no one's going to watch the footage that, is filmed in the car when no one else is in the car with you. And she says, honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just did not give a flying fuck at that moment. And that's the Dorit. That's why I loved her this season.
I mean, that moment will go down in history. I have to say, we said it last week. This season wasn't great. However, that moment will always be iconic. And I love how she just didn't give a fuck. She's like, look, I was stressed. I'm a stress smoker. I'm a social smoker. So yeah, I needed a cigarette during that time and I had it. So yeah, I loved that so much. I agree. Do we think that Dorit's on Ozempic? I'm seeing maybe a little bit of like Ozempic face. Like
Hmm.
she didn't need it at
I don't
all.
think
She was
so.
already so thin, but if it's not Ozempic, it definitely must be stress. She's
I think
looking.
it's just stress. And, she's probably one of those people who like loses the weight in their face. I'm kind of the same way. Like if I gain 10 pounds, it immediately is my face looks different. So I think that might be that effect. I don't think there's no way anyone would ever prescribe that woman Ozempic. Like she was already very thin.
Yeah, no. She's under a lot of stress. We get this montage, kind of a look back at her and PK's relationship and what happened this season. And she pretty much says, like, at this point, there's almost no chance they're going to get back together. It seems like it's gotten worse since we've seen them kind of, come together on the show. They're not really speaking. I guess they invited PK to come to the reunion, which, yes, I know that we get husbands show up on the reunion, obviously, but they're going through a divorce. They're not even really speaking. Do I think that PK should have showed up at the reunion? No. But what he
Hell no.
actually did was 10 times worse, because that statement that he gave, I I mean, he slammed Dorit right and left. He said that Dorit made mischaracterizations about him being a bad father. He's heartbroken by it. It's completely false. The Dorit he knows now isn't the Dorit that, what who she was when they were together. All of this stuff. What did you take from that comment? Because I kind of felt like it was a little unnecessary. But then Dorit was like, well, I see both sides, how the viewers might want to, you know, get both sides of the story and not just mine. So I thought she was being fair. But if I were her, I'd be like, look, I'm the one on the show, not PK.
Right.
Why do we need to bring him into this?
Right. Why are we giving him this platform and they're reading the entire statement? Like, I I did not think they needed to do that. And I thought it was very actually gracious of her to say, I encouraged him to come on so that he could tell his side of the story. I mean, I don't know many people that would say that, but I, I thought it was really harsh against her. And he said, I wish she would get back to the person that she was. In my head, I'm thinking, yeah, the person that you could control.
Yeah, the
She
trophy.
now Exactly. She now has a voice. She's kind of come into her own. And he doesn't like that because that's not what he signed up for. Well, too fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody is kind of up in arms because her saying that he's a bad father, the kids will eventually see that when they're old enough. But like, from as viewers, like, it kind of seems like he really hasn't been around much. And then she shares that he only sees them on Saturdays if
Right.
he's in town. Like, I don't know, the story that we're getting, at least from Dorit, is that he's maybe not. So I don't know. She does say we should see both sides, but like, it's kind of seeming like maybe there's some truth to that. So
Right. Like it's not hard to be a good father if you're only seeing them one day a week, maybe.
yeah.
So, if you're not present, then I mean, is the term he's a bad father like harsh? Yes, but that's how she felt in the moment. I mean, I agree that it's tricky because the kids will eventually see this. As much as she tries to protect them, they are going to grow up and this does live on forever. However, he's got to take some ownership too.
I agree. I agree. I'm also very glad that she called out Kyle, because we had a very strong opinion about the scene where they were talking about, her issues with PK. And then Kyle goes in the confessional. Well, I've never seen that side of him.
Ugh.
Like, I am glad that Dorit called her out in that moment.
Yeah, and she said, "Kyle, that was really hurtful because you're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to know me better. So it would make sense that you'd never seen that side of him because you don't know him that well. And if your relationship is all memes and jokes, like you say, then why would you see that side of him?" And she has a great point. And Kyle honestly really didn't have a great answer. She was sort of like, I don't even remember what she said, but it wasn't a good answer. And she didn't really acknowledge it in the way that I hoped she would. She wasn't contrite about saying that. And I don't know if these two are gonna have an authentic path forward. Like I think that they will be cordial with each other and friends on the show. But I think as it goes for a real friendship, I don't think it's gonna be there anymore.
Yeah, and then we dive into like Textgate a little bit, where she's like, you texted PK, and Kyle's like, well, we're not talking about the text that I sent you. Here's the text that I sent you. Roll the footage. Like, and then it all boils down to the fact that Kyle texted PK first before she texted Dorit. And then she's like, well, Dorit and I weren't speaking. Like, I don't know. I still feel like whether you only texted PK or you texted PK first and hesitated to text Dorit, I kind of feel like that's the same thing and it's still shady.
Kim, is that my dining room table?
Yes, yes, it
What
is.
was that? That was so funny. They're literally in the middle of this conversation, and Erica just is that my dining room table? And it looks like it was.
I think it was. I don't know if that was editing or not. Maybe they were trying like interesting transition. I don't know, but that was interesting. And then we also talk about PK's sobriety. Is
Mhm.
he sober anymore? Dorit was very close-lipped, and I think that
Yeah.
her not saying anything actually said a lot.
Yes, I think that he had a very stern conversation with her and said, "I don't want you talking about this. I don't want you bringing this up on the show, on the reunion." And she said, "All right, got it." And so they kind of tried to push, and she basically just said, "I've been asked not to talk about that." So, yeah, to me, that means he's probably not sober anymore, but I don't know. Only PK, I guess, could tell us, but I don't really
Yeah.
trust him. He's not a very trustworthy source here.
No, he's not. And speaking of PK, so we kind of get into Dorit's finances a little bit. And of course, we all saw the wallet comment that Sutton said, but she kind of tries to backtrack here. And it was really funny to me, the excuse that she pulled. I'm worried for Dorit. I'm worried for all women going through a divorce. And it's like bringing that full circle, the all women, like,
But then,
right. Is it women in the group or is it all women? Because according to Sutton, she's worried for all women and she thinks that they should have knowledge of their finances, which I get. But do you think that Sutton going after Dorit's finances was coming from a place of worry?
no, of course not. Of course not. I think now maybe that she's had time to reflect. Yeah, she's going to put it that way. But in the moment, no, she was trying to be shady and hold it over her head. And she truly does think that she's better than people because she has more money than them. Like that came out of her mouth. So when people tell you who they are, believe them. And I cannot wait to get to the part where Dorit calls her out for living on a main road. I just know that's gonna like I can't wait to see Sutton's reaction to that. But yeah, she's like, well, when I got divorced, I was surprised that the things that the forensic accountants found turned out I had two baseball teams. And Andy's like, okay, well, that's like a happy surprise. Like, it sounds like you're saying Dorit's going to have not so happy surprise.
Exactly. And then, of course, they ask about the foreclosure because we've seen a lot of headlines about that. Dorit said there were some issues with PK and the people who own the house, and he didn't want to pay anything until he got a phone call and everything is settled now. I don't know if I like fully believe that story. I do think that there are financial issues between Dorit and PK.
I
Oh,
mean, how could
and
there not be? What does he
yeah.
do? What does he do? In
Who are his
10
clients other than
seasons.
Boy George?
And I didn't even know if Boy George is a client anymore. We don't see him around. Like, where
No.
is George in this whole equation? Who gets George in the custody battle, in the separation of PK and Dorit? These are the questions I have.
Yeah, no, it's giving like Teresa and Louis, not to steer us in that direction, but like, like you live this lifestyle, where's the money coming from? But I digress a little bit. Dorit has basically said that her and PK don't really have a relationship right now, not even a friendship. They're co-parenting, but it sounds like they're doing that really without speaking to each other. And she's just kind of like heartbroken. And honestly, I'm still heartbroken for her. Um, no updates have really come out whether the divorce has moved forward or not, but I have a feeling that we're going to see that come out soon, well before Kyle and Mauricio.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so then we kind of move on to Bose. We have our Bose segment, and we hear a lot about her history, her time as an executive, and how she kind of came into the group. And she gets asked about Keely. Andy says, what did you think about viewers' reactions to your relationship with Keely? And she says, that was really tough because it was a mixed bag. And people were saying that they saw a lot of red flags. And it's like, wait, was she watching our show? I'm sure we weren't the only ones calling that out, but we definitely mentioned the red flags multiple times. They have said, I love you. So that's a good step in the right direction. And she gives us an update that she's in the process of retrieving her eggs. So it sounds like they are moving forward with their plan to have a child and, expand their family, which listen, if that's what she really wants, and it sounds like now she does, she's saying, I never wanted to admit how badly I wanted another kid because of how hard it was the first time. But here's the thing, during the season, she herself was kind of like expressing doubt, right? About did she want to have another kid or not? And she wanted to give this man a kid. So I think that's where we were coming from, where it was like, Bose, it sounds like you aren't really 100% in on wanting to have a kid, but you're doing it for him. And that's what we were calling out. If she had been gung ho the whole time, this is what I want. I know I want this. Even if Keely walks away tomorrow, I still want to have this child. That's a different story. So I don't know. I feel like she's kind of changed a little bit there. What did you think on that?
Well, and unlike Sutton, I feel like we were coming from a place of worry. We were
Yeah.
like, girl, this guy doesn't seem like he is 100% committed. You haven't said I love you. You might want to slow down and maybe, make sure that you guys are on the same page before you move forward with something like this. Also, with her past experiences and traumas of pregnancy and loss, like I think we were just like, oh gosh, like we don't want to see her go through something like that
Mhm.
again, a very difficult time. So it's not judgment for what she's doing. It's more like coming from a place of worry, which I think we are authentic in, unlike Sutton. Um, what did you think about Garcelle? Kind of, Bose shares that she reached out to Garcelle before the show, asked her for advice, and Garcelle was like, you know what? I'm going to let you make your own opinions and I'm not going to tell you anything about how I feel about these women. Though Bose said she did watch the show before.
Yes. I really respected that. I think that was a very classy move on Garcelle's part. And I feel like that's the Garcelle that I really enjoyed having on the show because I do think she brought a level of, you know, level headedness. I said level twice. And that's something that I would expect her to say. But then when it came to the season, I feel like Garcelle was kind of acting a different way and kind of getting into the middle of things and getting into the nitty gritty where she didn't really need to. So then Bose is calling out, like, look, you always have Sutton's back. Why is it not okay for me to have Dorit's back or anyone to have Dorit's back for that matter? And Garcelle is not seeing, how that is the same thing. She's like, everyone came for me and Sutton. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really remember people coming for their friendship. Do you?
No, not really. We had a couple flashbacks, right? But it was never like the focus, right?
Right.
Like Bose and Dorit have been.
Right. And then Bose says, you suggesting that I could be so easily manipulated by Dorit or by whomever is honestly insulting to me. Like, you think that I'm don't have my own opinions, thoughts, like head on my shoulders, that I can't see through something like that. Like, girl, bye.
Yeah, no, I am Team Bose in that moment. Um, Here's where my unpopular opinion is going to come into play because let's talk about the Garcelle segment.
Yeah,
So
this was just the first of kind of, putting Garcelle on trial here.
yes, Garcelle on trial at the reunion. Like Sutton on trial at sea, V2. But basically people are coming for Garcelle for not opening up enough. Her response is like, look, I've shown everything. What more do you want me to show? And then Erica replies, everybody's very up in arms about this. She says, well, maybe your life or you are not that interesting. And sorry, but I kind of agree with Erica a little bit. And I think you said it best. Hear me out. Garcelle is very level headed. She's extremely successful. She has great kids. She has a strong family. She really doesn't bring a lot of controversy or drama or anything to the show, her personally.
Mhm.
And like when I say that, I mean that as a compliment because
Right.
it's almost like she's too normal for the show, right? In order to be on reality TV, you have to have a level of chaos about you, a level of delusion, a level of, kind of craziness. That's what makes good TV. I don't think that Garcelle has that delusion. And again, once again, complimentary. Therefore, she's trying to string along these storylines. Number one, the robbery. Number two, Kyle and Morgan, in order to kind of maintain her presence on the show and be a part of the drama. Me personally, those storylines should have been put to bed already. Yes, I do want to hear about Kyle and Morgan, whatever. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I just feel like, no offense, love you, Garcelle. I think you're so talented and I love you as a person. I'm not sure your life is really interesting enough to be on the show. I don't know. Don't come for me. What do you think?
If they're going to come for you, they're going to have to come for me too, because I'm with you. Erica said it. And I mean, it's not the nicest thing to say, but it is true. I think there was truth to that. And listen, if I was on a reality show, people would be like, that girl's boring AF. And yeah, you're right. Like, I don't have the most exciting life. I don't really like controversy. I don't like conflict. So, there's people who are built for reality TV and people who aren't. And I think for being on for 5 seasons, I think she has been, like, that's a pretty good run for someone who doesn't have that chaos factor, like you said. So, sometimes the truth hurts, but again, then from her side, she's like, well, it's not my fault that I wasn't going through a divorce while I was filming, or, I wasn't involved in criminal activity while I was filming. Like, what do you want from me? And that's fair. That's totally fair. But I think, then maybe she's right that this is her time to exit stage left in a huff.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to be entertained. We want the drama. And while I will always be a fan of hers, did I watch Black Girl Missing the first weekend it came out on Lifetime? Yes, I did. I will always support Garcelle.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just feel like reality TV, you need to be a certain type of person. And she's just not that type of person. And I just think that let's get into the Kyle and Morgan of it all, because I kind of see both sides here. I think she's beating a dead horse, but Kyle kind of like brings up this like off-camera conversation that
right.
I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. So she basically says, Garcelle, I explained this Morgan situation to you off camera. And Garcelle's like, yeah, but you did it off camera. That's my point. And Kyle says, I thought you were a friend. So listen, is Kyle being a little hypocritical here? Yes, she is. But I don't understand why this is the hill that Garcelle wants to die on. I really don't. It's not big enough. It's not a big enough hill. And I'm just like, look, if she doesn't want to reveal anything about her relationship with Morgan, then she shouldn't be forced to. She will do it when she's ready. And you like kind of bullying it out of her isn't going to change things. So I know that that's Garcelle's like sticking point is you can't say one thing off camera and then another thing on camera, and we're expected to just not talk about it. Like, that's not fair. And she, okay, but I'm sure if it were the other way around and Garcelle had something going on where she was not ready to reveal it to the world yet, I feel like she would want those wishes respected.
Yes, I agree. And I also like see both sides a little bit. Like when you come on reality TV, I think you're expected to not really hide anything. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I mean, you film 3 months out of the year. The year is 12 months long. So you have every right for things to go on in your life that necessarily you don't want to be on the show. Was Morgan on the show last season? Yes. Kyle, said she didn't want her to be brought up this season. And I think it was very obvious. I know people are going to come for us and come for Kyle for not opening up about this and trying to hide it. But at the end of the day, I actually agree with Sutton. Like, let's move on. We've asked about Kyle and Morgan so many times. When do you just give up? When do you just stop asking? like, how many times do you have to hear the word no until you just give up? I just think
Right.
it's time to give up. It's time to move on. You can't, like, the thing I hate most about Housewives, or I don't hate many things, but the thing that I do hate is when we string along a storyline for way too long. I'm tired of it. It gets old. I need some fresh blood. I need some fresh drama. Let's not keep revisiting the past. Let's move forward.
Right. And so then Garcelle gets upset with Sutton because Sutton is also kind of going along with what Kyle is asking and not talking about the Morgan of it all. And she says, "No, Sutton, you told me that that was a chess move on Kyle's part," which, I think that was a little bit of a trigger for Kyle because we all know LVP had been accused of playing chess many times while everyone else was playing checkers. And, Kyle has kind of been steadfast in her conviction that she is not LVP and that's not how she operates. So I think to hear that, she was a little taken aback. But it's like, Garcelle, now you're going to let this get in between you and Sutton, who's one of your good friends, or supposedly one of your good friends. Like, again, why? Why? This isn't that important.
Yeah, and it's like she's judging Bose for having Dorit's back and kind of sharing the same opinions as her. Whereas when Sutton, the second Sutton doesn't agree with her, has a different opinion, she's like, oh, how dare you? You know what I mean? I do think it's a little bit of a double standard.
Right. Right. So I just don't really know what she wants here. I know she wants, I guess, truth and honesty, but it's, we all understand when we're watching these shows that not everything is going to be 100% real. Like, we get that. And I'm okay with it, I think we're all okay with it. So just let it go.
Yeah. So speaking of 100% real, let's talk about the robbery
Uh,
because once again, it's brought up by Garcelle or I forget if it was Andy or Garcelle, but we got to talk about it because Garcelle another hill she will die on is that the robbery was a setup. But
right.
she's not saying it was set up by Dorit or PK. No, no, no. I didn't say it was you or PK. I didn't say that whatsoever. Okay, then who are you implying set it up, Garcelle? Be real.
Right.
Be real. I am so Bose in this moment. That is a dangerous accusation to make.
Totally. And she kind of says when Andy brings it up, she's like, "Oh, we're still here." And it's like, "You're the one who brought it up in the first episode or second episode of this season." Like, we were all happy to not talk about that robbery ever again. For some reason, you still brought it up. So yeah, you're perpetuating this. And I couldn't believe that she got so defensive about, "No, no, no, don't put words in my mouth. I never said that it was you or PK." Like, they rolled the footage and she basically said, "I don't think Dorit had anything to do with it, but someone did." Okay, so if it wasn't Dorit, who could it have been? Like, stop it. Stop.
Stop, stop. She lost me in this moment. Like, I don't know. She continues to harp on the cell phone and no alarm and like I I don't know. Once again, I don't know if the internet is going to come for us, but I'm with Dorit. Like, would my husband put me in such a dangerous situation um just to like get some money? I don't know. Are they really that much of terrible people? I don't think so. But then Andy, like, even like kind of hypes up this story. He's like, well, the guy did leave your cell phone at the gate. You know what I mean? Like, he is pointing out some details that are a little bit fishy, I guess. But at the end of the day, do I think it was staged? No. And when did this happen? Like 3 seasons ago. Why are we
Yeah.
still talking about it?
Yeah. And P.S., even if it was set up by PK or whomever, the trauma that she experienced was still very real. So have some compassion for that. You know what I mean? Like, if in your head you're like, "Wow, her husband is a sociopath. He set this up," and like, that's insane. But you should still be able to look at the situation and be like, but my friend, quote unquote, still went through this shit because you yourself are saying she had no idea. So in her mind, it was very real. Like, you should not be attacking her.
Yeah, and the fact that Garcelle is still harping on this longer than Dorit's PTSD, which we felt like lasted for years, like it says something. Like let it go, move on.
Yeah, so
Um,
Bose finally got her to apologize a little bit, but it was such a throwaway apology. It was like, okay, I apologize for that.
yeah, and so the trailer kind of made it seem like Garcelle like stormed off the stage, but they actually just broke for lunch, so I am gonna call that out. Um, But, Garcelle's pissed, right? She was definitely in the hot seat and she was not expecting it. She's basically like, everybody can go fuck themselves. And she goes on this rant, which I do agree with a little bit, right? Like, fuck you, Erica. I'm not going through a divorce. I don't have any criminal activities. Like, how dare you call me uninteresting? Yes, like you said, she does have a point. None of that traumatic stuff is going on in her life. But I still feel like maybe it was her time to go. Sutton kind of goes to console her. I don't know. And even Garcelle seems a little bit put off by her at the moment. I just think like she's done. She's over it. And will she return to the couch for part 2? I think she does.
Oh, I think she has to, right? I don't think that was the goodbye. I feel like it has to escalate even more. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to be very disappointed if that was the very end, like the last, you'll never see me again, Tamara Judge, like running off. I feel like it's got to get more heated. And she just wasn't expecting it. I think she did not go into this reunion thinking everyone's going to be coming for me and I'm going to have to answer for shit. But you know what? When people watch the season back and they see the confessionals and they see what you're saying to people in other scenes, like, you're going to have to answer for it.
Yeah, I mean, do I think they definitely all like ganged up on Garcelle and like was it 100% warranted? No. Who I think really deserves a good ganging up on and has some speaking to do for herself is Sutton. So I think that Sutton was the bigger problem this season. I'm interested to see, what goes down next week. Dorit's coming for her. Erica's coming for her. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like the reunion is almost more juicy than the entire season, to be honest. I feel like we're really getting to the root of some of these issues here. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's to come.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was watching it last night, I thought, that was kind of a meh part one. But now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we're really, really diving deep into some of these issues and there's more to come. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back next week to cover part 2 of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. And until then, check us out on Instagram at Bravo Breaking News and at Lisa Not Rena. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye.